We're live.
We're live. All right. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. We're live.
Hey, how are you doing?
Welcome to the Tourism Committee meeting, March 22nd. I need a approval of the minutes from February 22nd meeting. Ms. Runyon, Mr. Stroud. Any questions? All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Passed. We have no action business right now, so we're going to turn it over to Paul Tuckett. He's going to give us a report on what the Martin's been doing for spring.
Good afternoon, everybody. The board meeting, you saw that our tourism guide is out and about. It's a beautiful new guide for summer and fall. And we've got about 80,000 of those printed out, and we're going to send them to all our information centers. And some of our mobile tracking information has identified some emerging markets. So we're going to go ahead and try to feed those markets this year. Burlington's been kind of developing over the years since COVID. So we're going to see how well we do there and see if we can't steal some Essex County business over the course of the summer. So that's the big one for me, is getting those travel guides out to all of our businesses. In April, we've got our Pick Up Your Stuff campaign that gets all of these travel guides and our regional guides, tote bags, all that stuff out to our businesses so that they can share them with their visitors. And we invite them through a mailing and a travel guide to go ahead and let us know what they want, and we'll bring it right out to them. And then we're working with the ARTC, the Adirondack Regional Tourism Council. We got a meeting tomorrow, so we're going to start strategizing the 2023 marketing plan with all of our contiguous counties. So, and then Jackson's coming in on Friday to kind of demo the new Lake George TV streaming app. So I'm looking forward to checking that out, and that should be ready to go, like Gina said, I think in April or so. So that's what's on my docket. Any questions?
Any questions for?
I just have a comment. I've received a lot of, first off, I was really impressed with your new brochure. I thought that was excellent. Very well done. A little different format. It's much more pleasing and eye-catching. And I've had a lot of comments from people in the general community that have picked them up.
Awesome. It's very popular. Thanks. Supervisor. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you.
You guys have a question?
That's me with no boss. It's
Oh, well,
Nice.
we can see where the problem was.
no, she was wonderful.
All right, we got a question. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. On this handout here, there's all of these extra pamphlets put out by Visitor APK's hiking guide. But those are not our publications. We handle those for the Adirondack. They're put out by the Adirondack Regional Tourism Council.
Correct. Through part of the matching funds, those are guides that they produce. They represent the greater Northeast area, and we participate with that. They give us a full page ad, and those things fly off the shelf.
They are very popular.
Okay. And besides our ad, is there any other contribution to them?
I mean, part of the matching funds is that the money comes to the tourism department, and then X amount of it goes to the region for their program.
Okay.
So in a roundabout way, yes, some of that money funds that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a
Gina?
comment with regard to those. So Joanne was a big proponent of getting those, the I Love New York. And she lobbied as the region, and we're gonna be able to distribute those at the Welcome Center, which is a big departure for the state, which we have only been able to have a state guide. We had our Warren County guide and a regional lore brochure that really wasn't, but now we're gonna have hiking, paddling that will be much more directional for a visitor to come here and not bypass us, because they have real good information with those guides.
At exit 18.
Yes,
It
yes.
is. We do.
So it's a big departure. We're really excited.
And they're able to do that because of our partnership with the ARTC. And you'll see on all of these, the I Love New York logo. So that's what makes them available in all of these information centers. It's going to be big. We'll see a lot of them go.
Gina, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I travel up and down the Northway a lot at night, every other week. And the other night I came by it at about 10:30. That building looks like it's closed. Signs say open. They need some more light in the front of it. If you can wiggle your way to somebody like the mayor or
Yeah,
Get-
we'll talk to DOT about that.
it just doesn't look like it's alive. You know, you're doing, 70 miles an hour and all of a sudden that you look at the building and I know it's there, but it just doesn't look like it's in operation at night.
Okay.
So maybe
I'll
think
bring that
about
up.
putting some more lights out there. All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on. Peter, Creative Director.
Paul, do you have those handouts?
Yeah,
So
I've handed them
it
out.
feels like the past 5 meetings have been talking about this simple view platform for the website. It's been fairly well received at the board. I think today, or at the committee, I think today we're going to actually ask for an action item. So are these in your packets? This sheet?
Yeah.
So essentially, this is like 100 pages of documents that have weeded through proposals, modules, add-ons, simplified down so we can talk about actual numbers today. So this is a website platform. You'll hear them be referred to as CMSs, content management systems. It just allows people that aren't web trained to kind of go in on the back end and modify the site. So we can get up to speed on that. And it's a tourism industry based content management system. There's also a second component of that is like a database system, which the chamber has used. We've talked about that in the past. So this is all part of that building, the cohesive brand. So that'll link up down the road. The state uses it. So it's kind of getting everybody where they need to be. Here's some sample brands that they do. So everything from large major brands like I Love New York to smaller municipalities like Cooperstown. And here's the cost structure. There's going to be a one-time build fee that goes for $39,500. They kind of take our site as it is now, migrate all that data, build it the way we see fit, taking advantage of new tourism trends, building it mobile first, Google Analytics, all that stuff incorporated into it. And then there is a licensing fee. That's kind of how everything is moving nowadays. There's an annual subscription fee to this service. But it's not bad because what it does is it's inclusive of updates as things, platforms migrates to different version levels. That's included in this. They update all your modules for you. So instead of getting hit with one big fee a year that says, oh, we have to update this whole platform, it's cost controlled. The simple support level is $7,500. This is a optional thing that you have to have. And what it is it's billable hours throughout the year for when stuff breaks, like your actual content breaks. They can repair it. We can use it for new projects and it will roll over. So if we don't use it the first year, that money will roll over if we endeavor on a new project the following year. So the total for the start of this project, year one is going to be $75,000 or $76,500. And that is less than what we currently use for our site, the $82,600. And then years 2, 3, 4, that initial build fee is not in it. So it comes down to $37,000. So realistically, that's not what the price is going to be. I don't want to misrepresent what's going to happen. It's going to come down to $37,000, but then we fully intend to use more money to build out the robustness of the site. So we'll use, it might cost us $15,000 to add a hiking portal. It might cost us $7,000 to add a booking engine. But those will all come to this committee and in front of the stakeholders, kind of piecemeal. And we can decide which direction we want to go and one at a time, knock them off. And once those are built, there will be a subscription service with each module that will slowly increase our site, but it's all stuff that we will pay for and use. And if we don't use it, we just say we want to repurpose the subscription amount to a new module. So essentially going from maybe a fishing photo gallery is not performing well. Okay, let's take that money, repurpose it to a hiking photo gallery and see if that performs well. There's additional modules like CrowdRiff, some state-of-the-art tech that we can incorporate into this site, which starts to pull content from all over social media. And it's user-generated content. So if they tag Lake George, or if they tag Martha's, when we have Martha's listing on our site, or when we have an ice cream trail, you get to the part where it has Martha's, there'll be a whole image gallery of user-generated content. So, and it rotates. So, 50, 60, 70 people putting their stuff on the web now populate the site. And that can be curated, you know, we will have approval processes, so there won't be any lewd images on there, but what you get the sale of the person, the endorsement of the actual customer. And I think that's the kind of stuff that we'll be bringing to the table. So I've never done this, but do I ask for action item to proceed with this?
If I could just recommend that maybe we do that next month and we'll put together and assist with a resolution request, because there's some other questions I may have outside of the meeting for the tourism department before we move on this one. And I want to look at the county policy and purchasing policy as well before we move on it.
Okay.
Not gonna hold you up any on. It's gone, right?
I mean, we've kind of maxed where we can go as far as the rep and if we proceed. So we still have a website in place. It's an award-winning website. So no harm, no foul. We'll just if this works, we'll move forward when it's ready.
All right, and then so we'll leave it up to the attorney.
Well, we'll coordinate before the next meeting and then we'll have a proposal, if we can, for the next committee meeting.
Any questions, maybe?
Yes.
Dennis?
So you have that money in the budget?
Yes. So the current website is up to 82,000. So we haven't spent all of that money. So some of that money can be repurposed for this. And I do believe once this is up and running, we won't, it's essentially a contract swap. So there might be a point in time, depending on how, as this lingers more, what's going to happen is we'll need to keep the current site up and running so that all our promotional material can go through it. So we'll have to renew the contract with BBG&G for maybe like a partial year, which will cost some money. And while this gets built, right, we have to have something existing while this gets built. So as that timing gets a little bit different than what we thought originally, there will be some overlap. So it might require a little bit extra funds, but I think we could find it in our budget.
Wow.
There's an organization called the Gardner Group. I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's a technology think tank, so to speak. There's something called a Magic Quadrant that helps you evaluate these companies like SimpleView or Oracle or whoever else you're talking about in terms of IT. Have you looked into them to see how these guys are positioned within this space in terms of their capacity, their forward thinking, their likelihood to survive? Have you looked at any of this?
I didn't even know that existed. So no.
You know about okay.
Mike, what was the name?
Called the Gardner Group. GARTNER.
So to your point, Supervisor Wild, when I worked in Albany, we vetted SimpleView along with most of the other destinations around New York State against IDSS, D3000, other companies that were in the space of membership, tourism, lead generation, everything that tourism and or CVBs do. And most of us went with SimpleView because of their cash flow situation, because of their investors, because of their PhD data folks. And they have grown. We started with them in Albany in 2011. When I came here, we invested in SimpleView for the Chamber CVB in 2018. So what Peter hasn't talked about, really, you start with the CRM, your database. So what's happening for them right now is they've had to reconfigure their database every time they've gone to a new website. You know, SimpleView will take their current database, put it in one area like we have. We had a seat there for Tanya to log in and we could monitor clients, consumers. We don't do that. We don't monitor the consumers because that's typically your leisure traveler, but we also member partners. So for instance, right now, he talked about the additional modules. We just signed a contract to add the event module. So if you were to look at Meet Lake George, our database, even though we don't have a SimpleView website, we have a locally created website. We're feeding that from our SimpleView CRM. So anytime we've come to the tourism department to say, we want to make sure that we have all the restaurants in there for Meat Lake George, we wanted to make sure that we had them. We've added them to the database, and that is currently feeding Meat Lake George. We've made the website match Visit Lake George, but all the data is in one spot. So we're adding the event module, which we hope that we can actually, you'll be able to just buy the feed instead of buying the whole module, because we've already bought it. So we're practicing with that, kind of in anticipating, like, because we're feeding hopefully both Visit and Meat Lake George. And I mean, they are growing in that space by buying other companies that feed the aspects that we need. Like Peter mentioned, in the future, we might have a booking engine. So Simple View has had the money, the investors, and the wherewithal to go and buy another company that's doing that, so they can feed other CVB tourism websites all around the world, not just in the United States, because we've all wanted some form of booking engine. But really, it's been the bigger cities, the Miamis, Bostons, Vegas, that that need that booking engine on their website. And then it's costing us less as smaller destinations for our budgets, because they're doing all the tweaks. So Simple View is in a really great space, but I'll definitely check out the Gartner, because I haven't checked that out since I had to vet it in 2011 or 2012. I forget which year, but we looked at that as statewide as well. And we had to do that as a sub task force for I Love New York several years ago when they bought Simple View for theirs. So just to answer your question on
All
that.
right, thank you, Gina.
So there.
It's, yeah.
Did I see
There's
another?
a lot to that. But, but this, my question is technology moves really fast. And what we're talking now is something called big data, right? And I know very little bit about this stuff, but I know when I go on a big Excel spreadsheet, I can get confused really fast. We're talking about orders of magnitude bigger data. And we just need to have the right people with the right background, whether it's the math skills or whatever it is, to help us figure out the best way to use this data and not get confused. Because we've all probably seen data that people can pick little pieces out of and make a decision on, which may not be the best decision. So I'm just.
We could look
Yeah.
into it. Peter will,
It's-
he'll check it out.
It's hugely opportunistic.
I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not getting into that.
It's hugely opportunistic for us. We just need to make sure we're aware of where we're going and what we're going to, and so that we can prepare to take advantage of what's happening.
Okay, thank you. Did I see another hand up here? Had a question? No? Okay. Any other questions? All right, so we'll wait until the attorney gets out all what we need to do to resolution, and we'll take care of it next meeting. County Administrator? John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to request that I table this till next month's meeting for two reasons. Number one, because I've repurposed the group tour promotion position already, that I thought, because the movement of the motor coach responsibility to CVB. So I'd like to discuss that with them. The second thing is we are probably very close to hiring a new tourism director. We had interviews yesterday. We will refer some to the personnel committee to conduct interviews with a recommendation that'll go to the board of directors meeting on April 21st. And so I'd like to, because the structure that I had eliminated also or repurposed the tourism coordinator and events coordinator position, tourism development. And I'd like to give a new director the opportunity to make those decisions. Are there any questions?
All right,
Okay, thanks.
referrals, we have none. Privilege to the floor, privilege to the floor. Anybody have anything to question or ask? Motion to adjourn. Mr. Dickinson, Mr. Wild. All in favor?
All right,
We're adjourned. Thank you.
good job, Gino. Good luck at your meeting.